There's a quiet ache that settles in the heart when we lose someone we feel we knew, even if we only knew them through the flickering magic of a screen. It's a feeling that has become all too familiar to our generation, as the faces that defined our youth, the voices that scored our memories, begin to slip away. These aren't the distant, sepia-toned legends of our parents' era. These are our stars, the ones we grew up with, the faces from our favorite shows and movies of the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Their sudden, often shocking departures, frequently shrouded in the quiet dignity of illness or medical mystery, feel like a personal loss, a stark, unwelcome signal of the true end of an era we lived through. It's a harsh reminder that our generation's icons are now becoming tragic history. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on what some are calling the Dane Report. Not a single document, but a collection of whispers and truths revealing the hidden battles fought by those we adored. It's a somber journey, but one that offers a deeper understanding of the human cost of being an icon. Let's begin with a name that, for many, still conjures an image of invincible charm and undeniable charisma: Eric Dane. For years, he was Dr. Mark Sloan, the unforgettable McSteamy from Grey's Anatomy, a character so effortlessly confident, so physically robust, that he became a symbol of a certain kind of masculine ideal. He commanded the screen, embodying strength and an almost casual invincibility. This was his golden age, a period where his star burned brightest, and the world saw a man seemingly without flaw, perfectly cast in roles that demanded physical perfection and emotional resilience. He was the picture of health, the embodiment of a hero, whether saving lives in a fictional hospital or commanding a naval vessel against a global threat. He was everywhere, and he seemed to us unstoppable. But behind that dazzling smile and that chiseled exterior, a different kind of battle was raging. The records, now unsealed, speak of a profound struggle with major depressive disorder, a silent, insidious foe that cares nothing for fame or fortune. This wasn't a sudden onset, but a gradual, relentless erosion of his inner peace. Following a sports injury, a dependency on painkillers began to take root, adding another layer to his internal turmoil. The invincible persona he projected on screen became a gilded cage, trapping the man underneath who was quietly, desperately losing his footing. The pressure to maintain the image, to be McSteamy, even when the real Eric Dane was crumbling, must have been immense. It's the icon paradox laid bare. The stronger and more confident his on-screen persona became, the more the man behind it was struggling, silently and systematically, from within. The tragic timeline of this internal collapse reached a critical point in 2017. It was then that Eric Dane, the man who played a stoic naval captain single-handedly saving the world from a devastating pandemic in his series The Last Ship, was forced to halt production. He stepped away, publicly admitting he needed to seek help for his own profound pain. He was finding a cure for humanity on screen, but the actor playing him had to admit he had no cure for his own internal plague. It was a moment of stark, heartbreaking honesty, a public admission that the performance of strength had become unsustainable. His public-facing identity, the invincible McSteamy persona, was, in a sense, terminated. This wasn't a physical death, but the collapse of an image, a profound retreat from the battlefield of public expectation to fight a more personal and far more dangerous war. It was a courageous act, a man choosing to save himself, even if it meant dismantling the very image that had defined his career. His journey serves as a powerful reminder that the struggles we face are often invisible, fought in the quiet corners of the heart, far from the glare of the spotlight. From the quiet battles within one iconic figure, we turn to another whose struggles were, for a time, deeply public, yet whose final chapter holds a profoundly private irony. Matthew Perry, our beloved Chandler Bing, brought laughter and light into millions of homes for a decade. He was the quick-witted, sarcastic, yet deeply lovable friend we all wished we had. We gathered around our living room televisions, didn't we, to watch his antics, his perfect comedic timing, his endearing vulnerability. He defined a generation's sense of humor, and his golden years on Friends cemented his place in television history as a master of comedic performance. His rise to fame was meteoric, a dream come true for many, yet it was a dream that harbored a persistent, waking nightmare. Behind the scenes, even as Chandler was falling in love with Monica, Matthew Perry was fighting a brutal, relentless war against addiction. This wasn't a hidden pressure. It was a storm that raged for decades, demanding everything he had, and then some. He spoke of it later with incredible honesty, detailing the sheer scale of his dependency on various substances, the countless attempts at sobriety, the sheer terror of trying to outrun his own demons. The studio demands, the public scrutiny, the constant pressure to be on. All of it must have compounded the profound personal battle he was waging, often in secret, sometimes very publicly. He was navigating the aftermath of being an icon, a man forever tied to a character, while his own life was a maelstrom of pain and recovery. The tragic timeline of his final days, as revealed in the official report, speaks to a different kind of medical mystery. It wasn't the addiction he famously battled for decades that finally claimed him. The official cause was the acute effects of ketamine, a therapeutic drug increasingly used to treat depression. But the full story, the truly heartbreaking medical tragedy, was a cascade of factors. The ketamine, taken outside of medical supervision, combined with underlying coronary artery disease, and the lingering effects of buprenorphine, the very medication he was using to keep his opioid addiction in check. He was fighting a war on multiple fronts, seeking peace, and the tools meant to bring him healing ultimately proved fatal. The ultimate heartbreaking irony is that Matthew Perry died while seemingly winning the war he documented so bravely. He was sober from the big terrible thing, alcohol and opioids. He died from the effects of a drug, ketamine, that is hailed as a revolutionary treatment for the very depression that addiction leaves in its wake. In his relentless pursuit of peace, he was caught in the crossfire of his own cure. The man who wanted to be remembered for helping others became the most tragic, cautionary tale of all. From the profound ironies of Matthew Perry's final battle, we now turn to a man whose entire public existence became a masterclass in silent, unimaginable courage. Chadwick Boseman. His rise to fame wasn't just about acting, it was about embodying heroes, real and fictional, with a gravitas and grace that resonated deeply. He gave us Jackie Robinson, James Brown, Thurgood Marshall, each portrayal a powerful, transformative performance that captured the essence of greatness. Then came King T'Challa, the Black Panther. With that role, Chadwick Boseman didn't just become a movie star. He became a global icon, a symbol of strength, dignity, and a future many had only dreamed of. His golden years were marked by unprecedented cultural impact, inspiring millions and becoming a beacon of hope and representation. He was at the peak of his powers, a king in every sense of the word, and the world watched in awe. But this public deity, shouldering the hopes of millions, was privately being dismantled by his own body. What the world didn't know, what was kept a profound secret from almost everyone, was that Chadwick Boseman was waging a brutal 4-year war against stage 4 colon cancer. We saw him on red carpets, in interviews, on set looking vibrant, powerful, and utterly dedicated. But behind that unwavering smile, he was enduring surgeries, chemotherapy, and the relentless agony of a devastating illness. The pressure to perform, to maintain the illusion of health and strength while his body was failing him, must have been an almost unbearable burden. He chose to bear it in silence, believing the performance of strength for his audience was more important than the confession of pain for himself. The tragic timeline of his final days is almost unbearable to contemplate. He filmed some of his most iconic and physically demanding roles, including Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, all while undergoing active treatment. He was literally fighting for his life between takes, often arriving on set after chemotherapy sessions. His body grew thinner, his face showed signs of strain, but he attributed it to the demands of his roles, and the world accepted it. We cheered him on, unaware of the profound sacrifice he was making. The central gut-wrenching irony is laid bare by this truth. While the world celebrated him as King T'Challa, a hero made invincible by a mystical herb, a warrior who could withstand any blow, the man, Chadwick, was fighting a losing battle against his own cellular makeup. He gave us an immortal symbol of power and resilience, while his own was quietly, inexorably being taken from him. It's a stark reminder of the hidden battles our heroes fight, and how often we only learn of their true courage after they are gone. How often do we truly appreciate our heroes while they are still walking among us, bearing unseen burdens? From the quiet heroism of Chadwick Boseman, we turn to a different kind of force. A man whose presence on screen was anything but quiet. Ray Liotta. He was the live wire, the human embodiment of volatility and explosive energy. For decades, he commanded our attention, whether as the charismatic, terrifying Henry Hill in Goodfellas or the spectral, shoeless Joe Jackson in Field of Dreams. His eyes held a particular intensity, a raw, unpredictable spark that made every performance unforgettable. His golden years were marked by a resurgence, a renewed appreciation for his unique talent, proving that his fire was far from extinguished. He was working, engaged, and full of that signature intensity right up to the very end, a testament to his enduring passion for his craft. Yet, beneath that vibrant exterior, a hidden battle was silently unfolding. For months after his passing, the public narrative was that he had simply died in his sleep. And while that offers a measure of peace, the truth, as revealed in the unsealed medical examiner's findings, is far more clinical and, in its own way, harrowing. His body was fighting a losing war against a common degenerative disease, severe progressive atherosclerosis. His arteries were hardening, silently closing in on him for years, a ticking clock hidden from public view. The tragic link in Liotta's file is that he represents a hidden epidemic among our seemingly invincible heroes. Outwardly, he was the picture of a man fully alive, but inwardly, his body was fighting a losing battle against a common degenerative process. The secret isn't a scandal, it's the quiet, private war with mortality that so many icons face, completely hidden from the public that idolizes their strength. His final days, though peaceful in their immediate circumstance, were the culmination of this silent internal struggle. The official determination of his passing points to a catastrophic systemic shutdown, acute heart failure, pulmonary edema, fluid filling his lungs, and respiratory insufficiency. It was a complete and utter collapse of his cardiovascular system, brought on by years of unseen damage. The cruelest twist of fate, the profound irony, is that this cinematic force of nature, known for his intense, heart-pounding performances, was ultimately stilled not by a dramatic on-screen showdown, but by the quiet, mundane failure of his own heart. The man famous for chaos died in total peace, a profound and unexpected end for a life lived so loudly. It's hard to accept when a talent like that is taken by such a silent, internal process, isn't it? It makes you wonder what else our heroes are battling that we can't see. From the unseen battles of the heart, we shift our gaze to another icon whose public persona was often defined by her physical presence, yet whose final, swift battle was waged in terrifying secrecy. Kirstie Alley. For many, she was the fiery, quick-witted Rebecca Howe from Cheers, or the endearing single mother in Look Who's Talking. Her vibrant personality, her outspoken nature, and her undeniable comedic talent made her a beloved figure in American households. Her golden years saw her embrace reality television and become a spokesperson, always maintaining a larger-than-life presence, a woman who seemed to live life on her own terms, with an infectious, often irreverent, spirit. She was a force, a true original, and her career spanned decades, touching generations. But what the public didn't know, and what the Dane report now confirms, is the terrifying speed and aggression of her final illness. Officially, it was colon cancer. But the crucial, heartbreaking detail is that the cancer was not only aggressive, it was recently discovered. We saw a vibrant, outspoken icon online and in public, engaging with the world. While behind the curtain, a biological ambush was already in its final, fatal stage. This wasn't a long, drawn-out battle with public updates. It was a sudden, silent execution, a catastrophic event that gave almost no warning. She is classified as a prime example of a silent onset catastrophe. While public figures like Eric Dane himself have been open about proactive screenings for visible threats, Kirstie Alley's case is the terrifying inverse. A seemingly invincible star whose public vitality completely masked a hidden, internal malignancy. The tragic timeline was brutally short. From diagnosis to her passing, it was a matter of mere weeks, perhaps months at most, leaving little time for public goodbyes or even a prolonged fight. The report argues this isn't an isolated tragedy, but a pattern. Our most beloved icons projecting strength are being struck down by diseases that give almost no warning until it's too late. Her death serves as a chilling case study. And here lies the ultimate, tragic irony. For over 30 years, Kirstie Alley's health was a public spectacle centered on one metric: her weight. Her career, her brand, her identity were inextricably linked to the pounds she gained and lost. She commercialized her struggle, making millions by focusing the world's attention on the visible fat on her body. The ultimate, tragic truth is that while she and the public were obsessed with the health threats they could see on a scale, the unseen microscopic cancer cells staging a coup inside her went unnoticed until they had already won the war. It's a profound, heartbreaking twist of fate. From the silent internal ambush that claimed Kirstie Alley, we turn to a different kind of sudden departure. One that reminds us of the fragility of life itself, even for those who filled our lives with laughter and warmth. Bob Saget, for so many of us, was America's dad. As Danny Tanner on Full House, he was the gentle, kind, and ever so slightly neurotic patriarch who taught us lessons about family, love, and growing up. His golden years saw him shed the squeaky clean image for a surprisingly edgy, often raunchy, stand-up comedy career, proving his versatility and wit. He was a constant presence, a comforting voice, and a man who always seemed to be brimming with life and energy. But the files don't just detail his final moments. They reframe a life, revealing a hidden pressure that shaped much of his adult existence. The true hidden tragedy wasn't the head injury that ultimately took him, but the echo it created within a life dedicated to fighting a far more insidious foe. For nearly 30 years, Bob Saget was a relentless warrior against scleroderma, the brutal autoimmune disease that had taken his beloved sister, Gay. He described watching her turn into a mummy before she died, a profound trauma that spurred him into a lifelong crusade. This wasn't a celebrity photo op, it was a deeply personal mission. He used his infamous comedy, his platform, and his boundless energy to raise over $26 million to fight the disease that stole his family. The secret isn't what happened at the end. The secret is how this lifelong public fight against a devastating illness became the forgotten context for his own sudden, private medical end. The tragic timeline of his passing was shockingly abrupt. The official report reads like a cruel, random footnote. Blunt head trauma, an unwitnessed fall backward, a fracture to the back of his skull, bleeding across the brain. He simply went to sleep and never woke up. No drugs, no foul play, no lingering illness. Just a simple, devastatingly common accident. The irony is staggering and cruel. A man who dedicated a huge portion of his life to battling a complex, insidious, and slow-moving disease, a man who stared down the horrors of the human immune system on behalf of his sister, was not taken by some grand medical malady. He was taken by gravity, a slip, a fall, a singular moment of bad luck. The crusader who fought a medical leviathan for 3 decades was ultimately undone by a simple, tragic misstep in a quiet hotel room. It's a harsh reminder of how quickly life can change, and how the biggest battles are sometimes not the ones that claim us in the end. These stories, pulled from the quiet corners of leaked reports and medical truths, paint a poignant picture, don't they? They remind us that behind every iconic smile, every powerful performance, every moment of public triumph, there is a human being, fragile and vulnerable, fighting battles we can rarely see. The Dane Report, as we've called it, isn't just about one person. It's a metaphor for the hidden struggles, the silent illnesses, and the profound ironies that touch the lives of our beloved stars, much as they touch our own. These are the faces that made us laugh, made us cry, and made us believe in the magic of storytelling. Their departures leave a void, but their stories, now understood with a deeper compassion, remind us of the immense strength and quiet dignity with which they lived. Take care of yourselves, and hold your loved ones close. Memory is the only thing that truly lasts forever.